Hello, everyone. This is Mark Plaster from Emergency Physicians Monthly, and we're here at ACEP 2019 in Denver, Colorado, and we just got about 4 or 5 inches of snow last night, and it's a mess out there. And everybody's just staggering in from the Tuesday night parties that everybody shows. But one of the people who got here early, because I met him yesterday with his wife and daughter, and is Johannes Harrison. He's with Money Script Wealth Management, which is actually, it turns out that our wealth management columns in the emergency department, EPM, have been one of the more read columns. And it's because, just here's a little personal story. There's a lot of us who were not so wealthy as kids.
Yes.
Certainly didn't have any money as a college kid, and came out of medical school. And there was a joke that a guy told us about. He said that when you graduate from your residency, you have a lot of pent-up consumer desire.
Oh, yes.
And it was for the first time somebody handed me a check for a month's worth of work that I just about fell over.
I believe it.
I'd never seen money like that as a poor kid. And obviously, I had not a clue how to manage it.
You knew how to mismanage it, though.
Yeah, I knew how to mismanage it. I knew how to spend it. I'll never forget getting at the end of my first year of attending, and suddenly I had to pay taxes.
Yes.
And
Uncle Sam cometh.
And it was like, taxes? I have to pay taxes?
Oh, yeah.
And then when the accountant actually figured it up and handed me the bill, I went, holy moly.
Oh, yeah. It was probably 2 months worth of work.
I suddenly became a Republican.
I'll do it. I will do it in a hot moment. Oh, yes, it will.
So
Indeed.
tell me about wealth management. Tell me a little bit about you and how you got into it.
So I got into it almost on accident. It was I grew up poor.
Yeah.
I actually had
You and me both.
my family was doing okay for a little while, and then my mother got disabled. She was in a serious car accident. She became permanently disabled, and I watched everything disappear.
Wow.
I remember one morning waking up because I would drive her van because she couldn't drive anymore, and I would pick up kids in the neighborhood and drive to school. I'm 16 years old, charge everybody $1. That's a full tank of gas back then.
Yep.
And one day I wake up and the van is gone. And I'm freaking out. Now, my dad's calm. He's like, all right, just got to take the bus to school. And I was like, but Dad, someone stole the van. Well, when I got home that afternoon, I watched him go to the neighbor's house. I watched the neighbor give him some money. And we got in his truck and we drove to this junkyard, if you will. And there was the van there. And I was like, why did they take the van? He said it was repossessed. I had never heard the word before.
Right.
And so
my brother had a repoed car, and it bought it one day.
Oh, man. Well, that's horrible. That's horrible. So that experience, and then being in college, and also being broke, of course, and watching just some things happen around me. I got heavily involved in the music industry, and I was taking a trip down to Atlanta. I'm from the East Coast, from North Carolina. I was taking a trip down to Atlanta to meet this producer, and we get to his house, and his home has been seized by the IRS. And I didn't understand, and this was a very prominent producer with, songs on the radio. I didn't get a lot of money and wasn't paying his taxes.
Yeah.
And so it was those two items that kind of forced me to want to know more about finance.
Right.
And then I had the wonderful, the blessing of a son being born while I was in college. And I just started looking for, something permanent I could do in the finance field. So I started in the bank.
You became a dad, figured out what a dad was about.
Exactly. And I
great.
started in the bank, and then I ended up as a financial advisor with one of the Fortune 50 companies, and eventually said, you know what, I want to do this on my own. And actually, hats off to the White Coat Investor, reading a lot of those articles. One of my first clients was a physician. She was an ER physician, actually.
Okay.
And from there, she introduced me to more physicians. I started to learn a lot about
what we do.
About what you do. And
Yeah.
and I watched the burnout happen to some of her colleagues.
Right.
And I watched, I sat with physicians that were in their 50s making hundreds of thousands of dollars and only had a few $100,000 in retirement. And I'm like, well, what happened? Oh, I just started last year. Like, why? Because just didn't know. And like I said, I got
done that.
Yeah, so I got introduced to the White Coat Investor, and I started reading some of those articles, and I said, I want to do this. I want to be a fiduciary.
Yeah.
I want to be able to do real financial planning for my clients, and I want to specialize in medicine.
That's great.
And that's what I did. So 4 years now, money management. That's what we've been doing.
That's fantastic. And this is just a teaser because we're going to talk at greater length in a longer podcast that'll be posted on epmonthly.com. But just pick up, tell me one thing that most emergency physicians either need to know or don't know that could make a big difference in their wealth management.
I would say our biggest thing is starting early. And by early, I mean as soon as you make that transition from medical school to resident, earning money. Yep. So that's when it begins.
Yep.
And in that time, one of the most important things you could do for yourself is to create a cash reserve. Yep. Have some money inside. There's so many doctors, because the new doctors, residents, always come by the booth. And they want, advice on what to do. And I meet people that even have student loan debt or don't have student loan debt, and I'll ask them a question: how much do you have in your checking and savings account? And it's always $400. And so I thought, I'm putting it all towards my loans. I said, your loan will be there. Yeah. You're only making, $50,000, $60,000 a year. Build a cash reserve of at least $5,000, $10,000 so that you have something, because who knows, it could take you 3 months to get credentialed.
Right.
Then you're living on your credit cards, creating more debt. So that would be the one thing, is you start early, build a reserve for yourself, that emergency fund. So when it snows, 4 feet outside, you've got a bit of money in the bank.
I had a job with a group now 20 plus years ago, and they involuntarily took money out of my account. That was just part of the deal. I normally was never an employee, but I was an employee at this one, and this was when I was younger, one of their first jobs. Only worked with them for 5 years, and then went on and did some other things. And I retired. And recently I retired. And I got a call from these guys, and they had a big bunch of money.
Sure did.
Me.
There you go.
And I didn't even feel
set it and forget it.
And, and I thought, this is pretty sweet. I wish I'd have done it more.
Exactly.
Wish I'd have done more. Well, this is just a teaser, and I hope that you'll come back and listen to Johan talk about his other ideas about the way you can actually create some wealth and maintain it. And watch for it on epmonthly.com. Thanks a lot for spending a little time with us.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Back out into the cold.
Hi, everyone. This is Mark Plaster from Emergency Physicians Monthly, and you're listening to EP Talk. We're here in Denver, Colorado at the ACEP 2019 Scientific Assembly, and we just got about 5 inches of snow today. And for all of you on the East Coast that are still looking at the fall colors, I wish I was there right now. So I have with me here today Ben Abella with Tercera, which is an interesting, one of the things we do here at ACEP is we try to find new products, things that are kind of groundbreaking. And this is actually really an interesting product that I'd, first off, never heard of, and certainly addressing a condition that I see in the emergency department all the time. And tell me a little bit about it.
Sure. So first I should point out that I'm a faculty member at University of Pennsylvania, so I don't work for Tercera. Okay. Although, full disclosure, I'm on their medical advisory board. Okay. But I'm an emergency medicine physician and vice chair for research at Penn. Okay. And the product that we're talking about, Tercera has developed an IV version of cetirizine. Okay. So IV Zyrtec, essentially. Right. IV cetirizine.
When I saw that, I said, IV Zyrtec. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. So it's going to go under the name of Cusitir. That's their brand name. And
by the way, I will tell you that if you see it spelled, you'll have a hard time figuring out how the heck do you pronounce this.
Absolutely
Somebody true. In the product line,
the guys who come up with drug names, Cusitir. Yes. Okay. By the way, I might be getting that slightly wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's close. Yeah. So the basic premise, and those of you listening, I'm sure many of whom are emergency practitioners, and you know that allergic reactions are extremely common. Urticaria is very common, and we often use IV Benadryl.
Right.
And IV Benadryl is not a perfect drug. There's a lot of side effects. People get sedated. People get anticholinergic effects. Right. And I think from my standpoint, it working in a busy urban tertiary center, throughput is a big issue. And the last thing we need is someone sedated who doesn't have a ride home. Right. All of a sudden, we're sitting on them for a few hours for nothing. It's not an ideal situation. Right. And so I think this was a really good product to come about, I was excited to get involved with the team and do some work with them. And so today we presented the results of a randomized controlled trial, a 19-center, multi-center trial, where we compared IV Benadryl, IV diphenhydramine, to IV cetirizine. And essentially what we found was that they're equally effective. So this was a non-inferiority trial. So the goal was not to show that IV cetirizine was better. It was to show that it had the same benefits. Yep. And we showed the effect on pruritus scores, on patient symptomatic improvement were equal. But the real bonus was we found time to dispo was dramatically better. So statistically significant difference. And that's largely based on...
These people are in there. I hate to break in,
no,
but
please.
These people usually in there for hours.
Hours, that's right.
And if you're tight for space, and if it's a one shot, you walk in the door, you talk to them for 5 minutes, you know exactly what the problem is, and you're stuck.
That's right.
Like this, but the patient is stuck.
That's right.
The patient is stuck there for several hours.
It's a real issue, and these are other simple patients. So being stuck with someone who's really sick for a while and critically ill, okay, fine. But a relatively focused, you say simple complaint, then sitting there waiting for a ride, I'm too sleepy to drive, whatever. Right. It's not good.
Taking a risk, putting them back into a car, trying to talk you into it. I've actually had people try to leave AMA, get in their car and say, I'm sorry, I can't do
That's right. It's a liability issue for emergency practitioners. Absolutely.
I have to say to them before I give them this medication, you have to have a ride. And I've had patients lie to me, say, well, they can be here, but they can't be here now for 3 or 4 hours.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if some practitioners out there, maybe some listening, have had some legal...
I had a patient sue me. I told them that they could not leave after receiving
Benadryl.
IV Benadryl. They sneaked out the back. They got in the car. It's a crazy patient to start with. And sneaked out the back, got in their car, drove about 6 blocks, hit a pole, sued me
for the Benadryl.
The pole, the ticket. There was no...
Yeah.
It was just a big mess.
Yeah, it's a real issue.
Yeah, it is.
I'm sorry you had to go through that. So IV cetirizine, at least our work has shown that it's equally efficacious, but it reduces disposition time and also reduces some of the side effects, dizziness, nausea, some of the anticholinergic stuff. So it's a very interesting product. And again, it's not my product. The physician investigator. It's a better mousetrap. That's right.
You always say they still get the mice and all that, but it's just a better mousetrap.
That's right.
Fantastic. That's great. And so, thanks for stopping by and
Appreciate
tell us a little bit more about it. In the meantime, I hope you're in some place that's not snowy and a little warmer than Denver. So, great for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone. This is Mark Plaster from Emergency Physicians Monthly, and this is EP Talk. I'm here with Dan Cohn, and we're at the Denver ACEP 2019. And Dan is one of those subdued dressing kind of guys. He doesn't want to, understated. He wants it to be understated, and in the way he, not flamboyant like black on black on black, like I do.
We don't like standing out. We like to fit into the crowd. And blend in.
Dan, you
not making any impression, not making any waves.
No, absolutely not.
There was no disturbance, whatever.
Dan, you've been coming to ACEP, and we've been seeing each other for 20 plus years. Well, tell me about you have a very interesting story of your company. And tell me about it.
Well, thank you. In 1990, I dabbled in real estate. So in 1997, somebody offered me some buildings. And they had housed a shirt manufacturing company that was started in Baltimore back in 1916. So I bought it. I ended up buying the shirt factory. And then it occurred to me that at that time, there were no decent white coats.
Right.
So we said we could adapt the resources of the shirt factory to make a nicer white coat. Ended up adding different fabrics and making customizations, altering fabrics.
And this is absolutely
thank you.
One of the finest coats that you could ever actually wear in the ED.
Well, right. So I was in Manhattan in the fabric district, and I saw this. I said, I can't possibly buy this. So then I went back and I've sold hundreds of these.
I'll bet you have.
Just as gags and tongue-in-cheek.
Oh, but if on New Year's Eve, if you're stuck with working New Year's Eve, if you're any of the holiday shifts when we are so loath to work on, you could throw your special coat on and it lifts the mood of the entire emergency department.
Well, I wear this coat to the annual State Medical Society dinner with a black tie, and I'm telling you can't buy that much fun.
No.
People call you over, please sit at my table, tell us a story. So it's just keeps things light.
That's exactly right. you've made actually a lot of other things as well besides lab coats.
Well, we make lab coats and scrubs, and we've tried to get it diversified with coats for women's styles more tailored, men's styles more tailored, and we're trying to do alterations. So we're trying to help whatever people need in terms of their medical attire.
It's kind of funny. As much time as we spend in scrubs and lab coats, you would think that we would bother to make sure that the lab coat looked good, it fit right. I'm 6'5". I don't think I've ever had a pair of scrubs that fit me.
Really?
Never. And and it's always because I was too dang lazy to get the right pair of scrubs and the best coat. I've just recently got a lab coat provided for me. I guess I was too cheap, to actually get a good one. And I want to tell all the people that are looking at this, don't do like I did, okay? Go get a lab coat that looks good, that fits right, scrubs that fit right.
Well, Rob, listen, Mark, why don't you come to the booth? We'll make you a coat. But really, I'd love to. It'd be my pleasure to make you a coat that fit, that was exactly what you wanted. It would be my privilege. I'd really look forward to that.
Tell people how to get in touch with your company.
Well, thank you very much. We're here in ASEP 2019 at booth 429, and we're based in Ashland, Pennsylvania now, the Gitman Brothers Shirt Company. And we are at medicalcoats.com. And so just give us a call, ask for Samantha, or come to the booth, say hello. We do custom fittings, and we'd love to help you.
Medicalcoats.com.
Right.
That's perfect.
Very good.
Thanks a lot, Dan. It's always a pleasure to see you, and you always make a splash.
Well, thank you, Mark.
Thanks, everybody. Hi, everyone. This is Mark Plaster, Senior Executive Editor from Emergency Physicians Monthly, and you're watching EP Talk, a place where emergency physicians come to talk about things that are important to us, both professional and personal. And I'm here today at ASEP 2019 in Denver, Colorado, and we just got about 5 inches of snow last night. And what a mess. I have not seen a snow truck out here yet. And what a fan. It's crazy. And I'm coming from a state where they're still sailing and fall colors. So this is a little different than what I'm used to. I'm here with Steve Marin of VEP. I used to know VEP as Valley Emergency Physicians, but I understand it's only VEP now.
That's correct. We switched about 5 years ago when we realized we had so many physicians in the group who were now providing internal medicine practice as a hospitalist, and intensivists are now part of our group. And so we wanted to represent all the providers in the group.
Fantastic. And VEP in the past has only been in California. It was in the Valley.
That's correct. And right now I'd be happy to leave this snow and be back in California.
That's right.
But we've actually expanded. We now have 5 contracts in Texas. We're in Kansas.
You're following all the Californians who went to Texas.
We go where the patients go.
That's great.
We're in North Carolina. We're in West Virginia. We're in Ohio. And as of December the 2nd, we'll be in Chicago.
Tell me more about the idea of it's a completely physician, not just physician, actually. The people that are working there own the company.
That's right. Many years ago, we had a lot of democratic groups, truly owned by all the providers.
Yeah.
That's changed as there's been groups that have been merging and being acquired by many of these mega groups. Today, VEP is still fully owned by its providers. And I use the word providers as opposed to physicians because our APCs, like PAs and nurse practitioners, are owners as well. And uniquely, we've even opened up ownership to our office employees who are working full-time for the group.
That's great. That's fantastic. Well, tell me a little bit about some of the places you're at and the opportunities, obviously, for people who are interested in going to some of your hospitals and joining the group.
Thanks for asking. I got to mention the warm sites first in this weather.
That's right.
Southern California, we have a half dozen sites,
that's great.
Large sites there. Northern California, we've got another 10 sites. And then Central California as well, sites like Merced and Oak Valley, Oakdale.
Okay.
But the newer things are happening in Chicago.
Okay.
We're opening up 2 different sites there at the beginning of this year, December 2nd. And we have a need in those locations, so that'll be exciting. We just recently got another contract in Santa Clara Valley, which is San Jose.
Right.
We get to be in the middle of all that.
These are pretty nice places.
Yeah. You certainly like to be in that place.
Great. Well, This is just a small teaser of a podcast here to introduce you to some of the opportunities that are out there. And probably the most important thing, I get a lot of residents and young docs who say, where can I go that I actually can be an owner, can be a part of an organization I'm an owner? And I think that there's some great groups out there. I mean, there's a lot of Democratic groups, but there are also smaller, they're not exactly a small group, but quasi-regional groups in which you actually can be an owner. And you need to take a look at it. And VEP would be one of those. So thanks for joining us, and keep your eye on VEP in the future. It may be in a place where you will be. So thanks for joining us at EP Talk.
Hi, everyone. This is Mark Plaster with Emergency Physicians Monthly, and you're listening to, or now seeing, EP Talk. And we're at ACEP 2019 in Denver, Colorado. And I have with me here Maher Elhi.
Yes.
It's a tough name,
That's
but
good. Very good.
But he's from Mindray, and you guys have some interesting stuff. One of the vendors here, the exhibitors, I would not say vendors, but exhibitors, try to tell people about what you do. And I'll give you the floor, and let me hear what Mindray. That sounds like a cool name. I like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so Mindray, North America, we are a global force in medical imaging, patient monitoring, and anesthesia. In medical imaging, I mean ultrasound.
Okay.
So here at ACEP 2019, we're very excited to showcase our latest technology for ultrasound, as well as some of our cutting-edge technology for patient monitoring. So I'm currently the director of marketing for ultrasound, so I'll speak to the ultrasound portion a little bit.
That sounds great.
We're highlighting 3 key products. We have our TE7 system, which is our tablet-based system. Great system for entry-level emergency medicine doctors looking to do ultrasound in their departments.
Right.
Some cutting-edge technology, cardiac imaging, and some needle visualization projects that we've been working on that we're happy to release here.
That's great.
We also have a laptop design system. Some of the doctors who you would think would like the touchscreen want the feel of a laptop. So we have a laptop system called the M9 that we're excited to show as well. Got great cardiac capabilities. We actually have a physician speaking in a booth tomorrow. Maybe you guys can come by tomorrow and
sounds great.
Do some streaming as well. And last but not least, we have our cart-based system, which is the ZS3. And it's our flagship for point of care. Great technology, big monitor, and really we provide different flavors for different levels of expertise when it comes to ultrasound for emergency medicine.
Now, obviously a lot of people are doing ultrasound here. And ultrasound, as I'm sure you will agree with this, ultrasound is kind of a cornerstone, really is becoming a cornerstone skill of emergency physicians.
Sure.
And so what is it that Mindray is doing uniquely? And there's a lot of good products. I'll probably have some of the other guys that do the same thing over here to talk to us.
Sure.
So the question here is, what is exactly that Mindray is doing that's different, better?
Sure. Like you said, I think that there's a lot of great products on the show floor.
Yeah.
Wherever you go, there's not one system that I would scan my family. And ultrasound is a great modality. Given healthcare reform and where it's at, every hospital is struggling to provide better care at low cost.
Right.
And what a better modality than ultrasound.
Less radiation, easier to use. It's something that we as emergency physicians, I think the younger generation use more and more and more in preference to X-rays and CT and some other things.
That's what really attracts me to the market. I've been in ultrasound for nearly 16 years. And it's the modality, and it's the personal interaction that you get with the modality. So why Mindray? Right? That's the question. Why Mindray? And it's a great question, and it's really about the people. Everyone has great technology. Everyone's going to have a feature here, a feature there that might out-feature somebody else. But it's really the people, and we take care of our customers. We really listen to our customers, and we take their feedback, and just quickly we're able to innovate and produce something that they requested and demanded. We had a customer come by the booth today and said, you know what, you guys listen to us. Within a month, you guys showed me something that I asked for, and that's really what I think is different and unique about us, the ability to be agile, quick to respond, and I think also our value proposition. We are able to produce products at a value, and pass on that value to all of our customers. We offer a 5-year warranty across the board.
That's great.
And we also offer 5 years of living technology. Living technology basically means that every year we're going to provide to our customers a software update at no charge. Just like your iPhone, you get an update.
Sure.
And we will fix software bugs, image quality improvements, workflow enhancements, all at no charge provided to the customer as part of our partnership.
And that's key, actually. I think when you talk about partnership, anything that's an evolving technology, ultrasound continues to be an evolving technology, it's important that you work together.
Yes.
And the clinicians can say, I need this, I wish this was better, can you make this better? And you say, oh, by the way, I think we probably can. Let's work together. What do you need? Let's see how we can do it.
Absolutely.
That's great. That's great. And so I think that if you're here at ACEP 2019, you need to go by and take a look at what they're doing at Monterey. If not, stay tuned to EPM and our website. We'll be running a podcast, probably a longer form discussion of some of the specific services and products that you're offering.
Be happy to.
Great.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Pleasure talking to you.
Nice meeting you.